Hey guys, today's the day. Starting our day with a declarative clap, we're making kimchi today. As you all probably know, kimchi making or Gimjang is the single most important event in the Korean food calendar. It is a very long, tedious, and happy process. I have about 10 hours worth of video footage. I'll be sharing the whole process over the next two videos. So this is the day before the actual Gimjang. I ordered salted pechu Korean cabbages online along with the other ingredients, so I'm going to check on them before the actual big day comes tomorrow. Be careful when you open the plastic bag so you don't get any small plastic pieces inside. First things first, look for signs of quality in the pechu. Does it look clean and fresh? Also, of course, take a small piece off and taste how salty it is. I was very happy with the quality of mine, but decided that the heads of the pechu needed a little more salt. So I got my kimchi dae out. Find the biggest food grade bowl that you can find. Small bowls will give you a lot of trouble later on. Unlike jam jars, you can't boil a bowl this size, so I'm going to sterilize it with some soju. For kimchi, I try to use the best of everything, so the soju I'm using is hwayo. It's as strong as vodka, so it'll be very good for sterilizing. It also has a very wonderful fragrance to it. Give it a wipe. Put the pechu cut side up. So what happens is they cut these pechu in half, and at the factory they just put them in salted water instead of putting salt inside each leaf. So the end of the leaves, which are very tender, are salted very well, but the heads of the pechu where the leaves are attached together do not get as much salt, and the leaves are thicker there too. So the heads of pechu are not salted as well as the end of the leaves. So what I do is I put the pechu cut side up and I put salt directly on top of the heads of the pechu only. I also poured in the salty water that it came with because it had the natural sweetness from the pechu. But really do taste everything before you add anything in. If the brine it came with has any bitter taste to it, because that can happen if a lower quality salt was used, then don't use the brine and toss it away. Now I'm leaving it like this until tomorrow so the salt can really get into the pechu, and I didn't want to dry out any of the tender leaves, so I put plastic film over it. I really stuck it to the side of the bowl to make sure that nothing dries out. When I make kimchi, I don't want to simplify anything. I don't want it to be anything quick and easy. I want to make as good a kimchi as possible because this will stay in my house for many months. And this will be our banchan, our soup, our jjim, everything. So next I brought out our kimchi containers and I'm laying out all the ingredients I got online. So here's raw sugar. It's less sweet but has a very round taste, so I thought it was really good for our kimchi. This is gochugaru. Of course, you want the best quality gochugaru that you can find. For kimchi, you don't want anything that's too fine. And also, the color of your gochugaru will be the color of your kimchi. So choose gochugaru that has been ground very recently because the color of gochugaru gets darker and darker the older it gets. I also ruined my cheesecloths last time I made kimchi, so I got new ones. These need to be laundered and dried before kimchi making tomorrow. So this is the next day. Welcome to the day of Gimjang. In addition to the ingredients I showed you yesterday, I have more soju, I have mu, the radish, I have minari, the minty herb we use. I have jokpa, spring onions. I got the ones with the roots trimmed off already because that's a lot of work. I got 2 bunches. I also have kat. I have no better words than to just say it's minty again. All these vegetables have their own texture and aroma to them. It's like trying to explain what rosemary smells like to somebody who's never had rosemary before. There's no way that I can really explain what it tastes and smells like. I really hope that you will have a chance to enjoy these vegetables yourself. Also, the more traditional ingredient is the red version of this, but I'm making pechu kimchi and kat kimchi at the same time, so that's why I had to choose the green ones. I also had a bowl of cooked rice. Alright, now checking the pechu I salted yesterday, I was happy with how salty they were. I quickly rinsed them in the brine at the bottom to shake off any salt crystals that were remaining on the pechu. Then I gently squeezed out the excess water and put the pechu on the colander, cut side down to remove any excess water. Word of caution, I'm not throwing the brine away. Now it's time for the prep. Get your vegetables washed, radish peeled, and get rid of any parts that are wilted. Bring your vegetables in, get your board and knife. So this is what I took off while I was washing my vegetables. I also cut the heads off the cut to wash them because there can be dirt between the stalks if you don't. Now this is going to take a while, but I do take every stalk of spring onion to cut the ends clean and also get rid of any loose skin or wilted parts. I learned my lesson when I used the questionable pear once. It spoiled inside the kimchi and I had to throw the whole kimchi out after hours of work. So now I take care to put in only the best ingredients. Gimjang is an all-day event, so put some music on, invite some people, make a party out of it, and it will be a breeze. So fast forward to when I'm done with spring onions. I had to sort the spring onions and cut into the ones that will be salted and the ones that will not. I will be salting some radish as well, so I'll cut them into pieces first. Watch your hands. And I'm leaving the rest with the not going to salt pile. So put salt onto the radish and the stalky parts of the cut. The spring onions do not need to be directly salted. The salty water released from the radish and cut will be enough to gently salt the spring onions. Toss the cut and radish to evenly coat salt on them. Now while that's salting, we'll start making the kimchi paste. Do a quick cleanup and get your blender out. And get the clean cheesecloths from yesterday. I have 5 Korean pears here. I'll go wash and clean them. So now cut the pears into small enough pieces and take the seeds out. Blend until fine. Add water if needed, and repeat. Now wring the juice out. We'll be feeding this naturally sweet juice to the gochugaru. Gochugaru is dried and ready to soak up moisture, so do take care of what you first feed into the gochugaru. Give it something nice, sweet and salty, and your gochugaru will hold that inside your kimchi. I'm not throwing the pulp away. So the sweet was the pear, now the salty will be the salted anchovies. This is not the kind that I usually use in my soups. In soups, I will use ekchuk, the liquid part of salted anchovies. This, on the other hand, is the whole thing, the juice and the pulp. It will say on the bottle how much you need for the pechu, so follow the instructions. So in goes gochugaru. Next, I'm going in with the juice of the radishes. So the same deal, blend the vegetables and put the juice in. I was not happy with my blender, so I switched to my food processor. Bring out the juice using the cheesecloth. You'll be seeing a lot of this today. And repeat. For the last batch, I felt that the gochugaru was wet enough, so I topped the blended mu on top of the moist gochugaru. Next, I'm checking the salted vegetables from before. Make sure the vegetables are now bendy and moist. Add more blended vegetables and fruits into the bowl. This will be the base of our mulkimchi. Continue. For change, I also cut pears into 6 sticks to be put into mulkimchi as well. Don't make the sticks too small or the pear can become mushy and pulpy inside the mulkimchi juice. Blending and squeezing more pears. This time I'm going to blend the 새우젓, salted shrimp. 새우젓 is very salty, but at the same time has the natural sweetness that 멸치 does not. Again, blend, then squeeze the water out. All of this squeezing is so that we get a very clear 물김치 juice with no pulp. Some people would also squeeze some 고춧가루 dissolved in water, but I don't. Again, don't throw any of the pulp out. I'm keeping all the pulp in one bowl to be used later. Now we'll start preparing the kimchi sok, the kimchi stuffing. Cut your gat to about 2 inches long and set aside. Same with the spring onions, cut them into 1 to 2 inches long pieces. I have washed some minari. Again, pick out any wilted parts and cut the best parts into 2-inch long pieces. Next, I'm blending some cooked rice. Add some water if it's too thick. The rice is needed to get the fermentation going. You don't have to use it for summer kimchi, but for winter Gimjang it's a must. Finally, I'm making my first kimchi of this Gimjang. First, sterilize the kimchi dong with some soju again. These kimchi containers have a small hole on top that releases gas, so I recommend getting one of these if you're going to make kimchi more than once. If you don't have one of these, you could use any large container, but don't fill it up to the top, and open the lid once every day for the first week to release gas. Please don't put kimchi in a glass jar and just forget about it. It can be a safety hazard as the gas can break the jar. Now in goes the salted mu at the very bottom. Then goes the pechu. Get your kimchi sok, the stuffing, and you want to put the stuffing at the very base of each leaf so that the leaves are not stuck to each other but rather have room for all the good juice to flow in and out. You don't need much as minari, gat, and spring onions are all sturdy vegetables that will hold their shape. Just a couple of them at the base would be enough. Try not to skip too many leaves, though tedious as this can be. So if you compare a stuffed and non-stuffed pechu, the stuffed one should be much larger in volume because of all the stuffing. Now put the pechu cut side up and repeat with the next pechu. And the next. Now it's time to pour in the kimchi 국물, the kimchi juice. Taste the brine juice mixture. It should be sweet and salty, like pickle juice without vinegar. I needed to put in more sugar and salt, so I moved the vegetables out so that I could mix things more easily. I put the sticks of pear into the mulkimchi container and drained the kat and pa in a separate container. I put in a little bit of soju, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of blended rice. It is absolutely important that there are no rice lumps in your juice, so use your hands to really mix everything in. And also use the cheesecloth to catch any remaining lumps. Kimchi is almost done now, but I did see that I needed more juice to cover the pechu in kimchi juice, so I made a note to myself and set the kimchi aside for now. The last part of today's video will be making the kimchi paste. I put all the pulp that I had saved into the big bowl, then I added the soaked gochugaru. I added the remaining rice, which was about a cup. I also added 7 heaping tablespoons of garlic and a squeeze of ginger. I used my hands to really mix everything together. Use gloves, guys, or your hands will sting. So here's my kimchi paste. As you can see, I didn't put extra water or broth into this, so this is thicker than other kimchi paste. The reason I do this is because I like using a lot of fragrant vegetables like gat and minari in my kimchi, and as they are not salted, they will release a lot of water inside the kimchi. So stick with me where I show you how I finish making 3 more kinds of kimchi in my next video with the kimchi paste we made today. Happy cooking!